You're listening to the Marketing Boss Podcast, episode number 3.
This is the Marketing Boss Podcast, where today's top marketing professionals reveal their best tips, tools, and strategies. And we all become better leaders because of it. And here's your host, video marketing expert, Parshell Houghton.
Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to this episode of The Marketing Boss. My name is Parshell, and I'm so excited you're with me today. We've got a great show today with Brad Zomick. He is the Director of Content Marketing at PipeDrive in New York. PipeDrive, if you guys aren't familiar with that platform, it's a sales CRM for small teams with big ambitions. We've actually been fans and using PipeDrive in our business, and it's been a great tool. So a little bit about Brad. Having worked with technology companies in financial services, e-commerce, and online education, domestic and abroad, Brad understands the complexities of custom solutions. Some of his specialties include content marketing strategy, SEO, copywriting, email marketing, and social media. And in our conversation on the show, he shares how the company blog and newsletter has increased sales, contributing to 15,000 new email subscribers and over 30,000 users across the globe. He also delves into how content has led their prospects to them. And with so many CRMs and sales tools out there, he talks about how they've been able to stand out. And actually, you guys want to stay tuned towards the end of the show. Brad graciously offers a coupon specifically just for the Marketing Boss listeners. So you guys stay tuned to the end for that from Brad. Before we jump into the episode, I quickly want to thank those who have connected with me on social media. And if you would like to connect with me, be sure to look for me. My name is Parshell Houghton on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Also, be sure to join our private LinkedIn group called the Marketing Boss Club. That's where marketing professionals like you and me can collaborate and grow together. Again, that's the Marketing Boss Club. Come on in, join the fun. All right, you guys, let's jump into this episode with Brad. All right, you guys, I'm so happy to welcome Brad Zomick to the show today. Thanks, Brad, for being on the show with us. How are you?
Great. Thanks, Parshell. Great to be here.
Awesome. So let's dive right into some topics. I'm really excited because your platform, as we talked before starting the show here, is quite an impressive piece of work that you guys have been able to develop there at PipeDrive. So let's actually just start off just getting an understanding about you and what path has brought you into marketing. Sure.
So I guess we can rewind backwards to the past, back to when I went to college. I won't say when, but it was a while ago. And I majored in marketing back in the day, and this is before, online marketing was a big thing. Mm-hmm. And then, it's a strange thing, I guess, in the world. You kind of what you study in college is not what you end up doing.
Right.
So for a long time, I ended up in kind of like the crosshairs of like finance and technology, doing working at software companies for like hedge funds and boring stuff like investor relations. So that was like the first part of my career, and then somehow I made it to China. And I for a while I was the middle of my career. I was in China trying to help U.S. businesses, U.S. and foreign businesses enter the China market. And that kind of each career had its own beginning and end. I like to think of that part of my career as almost like the Roomba, the vacuum cleaner, hits the wall and then kind of keeps on going. So I think those first two career arcs ended, and I think what happened was I got back from China and I enjoyed the experience there, but by and large it didn't work out because you show up in China as without a job, you don't get the same kind of salary and cachet as you would as if a company brought you over there. So, I decided hey, I'm going to learn online marketing, and that'll be able to take me to China or some other countries. I can do my work anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
And that was around 2012, it was about 4 years ago. And I had decided I was going to get into content marketing and SEO. And I think that was a good time because that was kind of when content marketing was just becoming something. I mean, people have been talking about it probably since 2007. But at that point, it was a turning point where, you can probably look up content marketing on Google Trends and you see that for years, like there was like a little buzz, but all of a sudden, like it just started spiking then. So I like to say I got into content marketing before it was the cool thing. But yeah, so I mean, I guess I always had that interest in marketing, but somehow I floated away from it, and my desire to be international, like, brought me back to it. The irony is during that point when I kind of like started learning it and became really good at it, I met my now wife who works for the city of New York, and you know, she's kind of a lifer in that position.
Awesome,
you work
yeah.
for the government, so now I'm like stuck in New York, and actually it's not bad. You know, I actually grew up out here, and it's not a bad place to be stuck.
Absolutely. Well, that's so neat. So, I guess with your position at PipeDrive, I guess we can switch and talk a little bit about, you know, the campaigns that you guys have run. I know that, or maybe not necessarily that you've run, but, you know, different activities you guys have put forth to grow and to spread the word about the company. What's been really successful for you guys?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a million things that we do here at PipeDrive on any given day. So I think, you know, maybe there's a lot of campaigns. I'd say campaigns when it comes to content is maybe not the best word, because I guess content is something that you're always doing. So I think, you know, one of the biggest successes that I've had since I got here is actually taking the company or the company blog, where we actually weren't doing much content at all. We were doing very little newsletters, maybe like one a month. I guess we were doing less than a handful of blog posts a month, and most of them were about the product and the company. To a point where we're now doing 4 or 5 blog posts a week.
Wow.
Really substantive content, and you know, PipeDrive as it's a tool for salespeople and business owners and entrepreneurs to kind of manage like more of a complex sale. So we've created our blog as kind of a destination for these people, you know, people who are in the trenches doing business to learn sales and kind of like learn from other people in the trenches. You know, so it's a lot of like narrative storytelling with actionable tips and, you know, motivation, because I think for a lot of people in sales, it's kind of a slog, right? And to know that other people are out there, they're making mistakes too, they're learning from it, you're learning from their mistakes. And, so I'm really proud of that, you know, and that now that we're doing for a piece of content a week, we actually have like a newsletter that, you know, is kind of sharing a lot of that content with our list of customers. So I think, you know, that in itself is an accomplishment. And from that, there's actually a lot of signups and paying customers that have been generated from that. Prior to my arrival, I think we had very few customers coming from the newsletter. Now we're getting, you know, a substantial amount every month, and it's growing. So it's really exciting stuff.
Wow. So like what type of, I guess, in terms of numbers, a percentage increase did you see from, you know, prior to this boost in the content? And, you know, what percentage increase did you see with the growth of the business?
So I don't know if I'm at liberty to share a lot of the numbers around like revenue, but
no, just like maybe you know,
just to give you a sense of the growth of the newsletter from September to earlier this year. The newsletter subscriber count has grown by 15,000 subscribers, which is pretty large amount, I guess. And you know, prior to that, most of the subscribers come from, like, I guess, trial signups. People signed up for the product, and you know, you sign up for the product, you're automatically in the newsletter. But
right.
Now we have a substantial growth coming just from the blog itself.
Wow, that's awesome. That's something else.
Yeah.
So, and I know that content right now, as you mentioned, is so important. I mean, and today anyway, a lot of our buyers and people are on the internet. You know, there's so much information that is really at their fingertips. So I'm pretty sure that the content is helping to allow you guys to embrace those new developments. You know, and how content is really changing the face of how, you know, we get business. Yeah.
I mean, like in this day and age, it's like I mean, I think they say they see different numbers, but somewhere between 60 and 80% of like the sale is actually completed before, or at least the research around the sale is completed before the customer contacts you. So having all that content out there is a way to kind of get into the prospect's mind before they even think about you. So I think in the context of somebody kind of buying PipeDrive, there's a lot of steps that lead them to us. So I think, early on, before they even know about us, they're trying to solve a problem for their business. I mean, it may not even necessarily be related to sales, or, I mean, it could be somebody looking to up their business acumen. So, I mean, like we do some content more around, like, I guess, what we're doing as a business, and, for instance, how we run our engineering team or something like that, or how we run products. So that's like general business stuff. And then like when people are like, all right, I have a problem with my sales process, or how can I sell better? They think about that first before they even know they need a tool. And then somewhere along the line, they're like thinking about like very much about their sales process. And at that point, it still may not be the tool. Something's wrong with the sales process, but I don't know what it is. And then as you get closer to the funnel, like there's something wrong with my sales process, but I think it's the tool that I'm using, or the lack of tool. Because I think, I mean, we're in a similar product category as a CRM with Salesforce and HubSpot. But at the end of the day, the market that we serve is small business. So our biggest competitor is actually probably Gmail and Post-its and spreadsheets. So yeah, and at the bottom of the funnel, we can talk about like, I guess, more product features, comparing different CRMs, and more kind of transactional, more, I guess, concerns that are closer to the purchase when they're comparing products. So you gotta have a lot of different types of content, not just for, about the tool itself, but like kind of like, I guess the tool, the process that the tool helps, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's meta.
Definitely. So, I know that there's tons of different platforms out there. I mean, I know that in most cases with the small business, like you said, they're competing, you're competing with their own little system of doing their own sales and keeping track of that. As it relates to the other competitors in the space, like how are you, or what's been your approach to allow you guys to stand out among those others? Sure.
So I would say, well, for the product differentiating points, I would say two major points, or maybe three actually. So the first would be like, I guess, the sales pipeline orientation. The fact that the main view of the product is your sales pipeline, and for a complex sale, it's nice to have that sense of relief that like you can see all the deals that are in your pipeline and where they are. So there's that comfort that you know where everything is, and there's no surprises. And I guess it's sort of an element of gamification because you're kind of trying to drag and drop the deals sort of from stage to stage until they're won. And then I would say, secondly, it's activities focused. So there's always an action to be done, right? So if let's say you're a prospect, I enter you into PipeDrive, there's always a follow-up action. So I add you as a deal. There's like, okay, what's next? Do I schedule a, discovery call, a demo? And even if the deal is lost, there's an action. PipeDrive prompts you to enter a reason why the deal falls apart. So that could be basically that allows you to be not only momentum oriented, but also continuously improving your sales. And I would say that, I guess, the third thing, which is more, I guess, indicative of the market that we serve, compared to a lot of the products out there, we are considerably more affordable. So it works really well for small businesses that are doing, complex sales work. Okay.
It's interesting too. We had a conversation with Greg Rose with Intel based in Atlanta, and I love what he basically said, which is very true. Marketing and sales are essentially the same thing. When it comes to growing a business. How are you guys also in agreement with that? And how are you? And if so, how are you aligning your marketing activity with sales?
Yeah, so I think that's an interesting point. in a way, marketing is just sales on paper, right?
Right.
So I think so. For the longest time, since PipeDrive existed, we were actually a self-serve tool. So most of the material that existed online about PipeDrive was in the blog and landing pages, and we were getting all of our leads via inbound traffic.
Okay.
Recently, we actually have a sales team. This is a new initiative for this year. And when I say sales team, it's more of I would say, customer care team. So we're not really trying to sell. We're trying to get to know our customer better and try to help tailor the product to them. But I think at the end of the day, we're trying to steer them in the right direction and make sure there's a product fit. I think if somebody's having a more transactional sale that's not a good fit for the product, then our salespeople might tell them point blank, this is not going to work. But I would say that I think the ideology that we preach is 100% the same. Mm-hmm. So in the content itself, everything, whenever we talk about sales, we talk about the concept of activity-based sales. That at the end of the day, we all want results in sales, but we actually can't manage results. We can only manage the activities that lead to results.
Right.
And I think that's something that we make very clear in a lot of our content around sales, that that you got to be focusing on the right things. You got to focus on action and momentum. And when we're talking to people on the phone and not necessarily selling, but we try to make it kind of clear that whether or not they work with us or decide to buy the product, that they probably should be focusing on their sales activities. And it's interesting. I guess a lot of people do call us up, and when they're actually trying to learn about the product, they ask us questions like, how many calls should I make a day, or what should my sales process be? So a lot of times our sales team will point people to pieces of content that we have. Kind of inform their decision. We also have a sales calculator, actually 2 sales calculators. So if you check out salescalculators.com, that's a mini site that we created to help people back into the number of calls they should make per day. So basically based on the target revenue that you're looking for, the size of the deal, and what's your average conversion? It tells you how many calls you make in a day. And you can go a step further to have like a no calculator. So based on how many deals convert, it tells you how many rejections you can expect on the course of like a given day or month to get to your sales target. I mean, wow. The rough part about sales is that there is a lot of rejection, but it's kind of, each no is kind of a step closer to a yes.
Right. I mean, I love that the salescalculator.com you said, how that, I mean, really, that's just a piece of value that's out there for your prospects, even your current client base, that really helps to keep you guys, first of all, top of mind, right? But then also, I'm pretty sure acts as some type of a lead generator as well. Is there some way that you guys are capturing information from prospects when they arrive there? Is that also part of that?
So
okay.
I will say, that is something where we do have a lead generation form on there. It's actually not embedded into the tool itself, which is something we're going to test. Okay. So like basically the sidebar, if people like what they're doing there, they can actually sign up. But we're going to try to modify the call to action. We're actually going to we're doing a site redesign now, so we're actually going to pull that to the into the main site. We'll keep it where it is too, but we'll also have kind of a strong call to action on the site, and also test kind of building the lead generation into the tool. So that way, we'll so that way, people sign up and then they get their results. But it remains to be seen, which is more successful. Because people who sign up just because they like the page so much, obviously, are really enjoying and there's high content. Whereas, other people might not be too crazy about that. They're forced into signing up for a newsletter. So we'll test it out, and obviously the best subscriber is somebody who opted in voluntarily because they really enjoyed the experience. We have a couple of tools out there that are a little kind of loose, hidden, that I hope to kind of bring into a resource page. Another popular resource that we give out is a free sales pipeline template for basically, I mentioned earlier that we compete a lot with spreadsheets. So we've actually created our own spreadsheet that will help kind of people. Some companies just aren't ready for a tool. As cost effective as we are at $12 a month per user. There are some companies that they have so few deals that it doesn't make sense to have a software yet. So we kind of give that away, and that too is kind of a freebie where it's not really required that they actually give us an email address, but it does generate a lot of signups because on that same page you can actually sign up for a trial as well.
Okay. So speaking of tools and software, what type of tools and things are you all using that's working really well for you right now?
Yeah, so we use a lot of tools actually.
I know.
Probably like a laundry list.
I know.
So we use BuzzSumo, and I think we use that for a couple of different reasons. Number one, for kind of research. It's kind of, I guess, ideas for blog posts, or maybe even like research related to blog posts that we're writing. Number two, we use it to kind of see who's mentioning us in the media, so we can kind of engage with them on social media and get those people to. Sometimes like it becomes a relationship, right? We might be really appreciative of the article. So, let's say we want to, do a guest post for their audience, or vice versa. We might say, hey, we really like what you're doing. You want to come write a guest post for us? We could all use that. Also use that for kind of, I guess the guest posting thing is a link building tactic. If they didn't link to us, we can say, hey, you want to link to us? We'll share your post around that type of thing. It actually. A more subtle way, because I think asking for links isn't people don't do that these days. But I mean, people do it, but it's like more of a win-win scenario. So like I said, BuzzSumo is one of them. We're using Buffer for social. All our newsletters are on Mailchimp. For SEO purposes, to kind of better understand our keyword rankings and our backlink profile, we use Moz and Ahrefs. So I think those are a few of them that are kind of some of my go-to tools.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I know that pretty much anybody who's doing any marketing work has a ton of different tools that they're going back and forth from, but it all comes together to really help us make, more informed decisions, and I think as well, it pushes back a lot of good data for us as well, especially the analytic tools and things like that. Let me ask, what data would you say has been the most surprising to you, from what you guys have done?
Well, I would say so. There's maybe two sets of data that I think are pretty interesting, and so number one is like as an app, that where millions of activities happen per year. I think it's kind of amazing at the activity level of usage in the app itself. So actually, we just reached like a new milestone of 30,000 customers around the world.
Oh wow! Okay.
And that's just customers. So we, most accounts are multi-users. So I think users a lot higher than that. But to across all those 30,000 users, we're in 150 countries. But the sheer number of activities that happen in PipeDrive is quite amazing. I think over the course of our existence, there's been almost 20 million activities, leading to the closing of 2 million deals. And we've done some cool analysis to kind of see how, the variability, examine the variability of deal flow and activity flow in different countries. So I think one interesting case study we did last year is basically revealed that December is like the highest activity time of the year for closing deals in most countries around the world, but there are a few interesting exceptions, like China and areas of Asia where they celebrate Chinese New Year. So there's actually that happened in February. So like the deal flow, spikes at the end of January, and then a lot of these quarterly spikes. We saw some really interesting analysis around the best days of the week to close deals, best times of the day. So I would say that's in the product. In terms of, like marketing the product, I think there's some really interesting data in, I guess, like the performance of pieces of content. So, I mean, like, or just web pages. So, like, it's interesting to see that, I guess, a highly trafficked page is more of like a vanity metric. You can have pages with lots of traffic, but they may not necessarily generate much customer intent. Whereas you have these like LoFo pages that are actually churning out like, trial signups and paying customers on a regular basis. And I think in that vein too, it's like one other kind of surprising thing around like a successful piece of content is probably the amount of people that actually scrolls to the bottom of the page. It's kind of shocking, I mean, like, while we always look to these traffic metrics, it's really kind of shocking that the average person on a high volume page never makes it to the bottom of the page, or maybe they don't spend more than a minute on the page. So yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, some of those metrics you have to take with a grain of salt from Google Analytics, because the data is not as clean as one would like it. So on page time is not always accurate, but you got to kind of look at that and weigh it with bounce rates and to get a better picture and conversions as well of what the true performance of a page is. Gotcha.
Yeah, that's very interesting. It's always funny, like what you don't expect to work out, or the thing you thought was going to, be the huge success ends up, not, and it being something very simple sometimes, or the smallest tweak, if you will, that really makes such a big difference that in some cases you didn't really expect. So that's neat. Well, I want to go ahead and start to reel in the show here. I do appreciate you being on with us today, Brad. And just to finish up with a few more questions, which I love this question actually, which is what do you see in the future for marketing? If we were to fast forward maybe 5, even 10 years, what do you see is going to be happening and how marketing looks in that day and age?
Yeah, so I think in the future, kind of marketing will be extremely highly customized and targeted. Mm-hmm. We get a lot of really interesting data using, we use attribution tools and like, I guess, data analysis tools like Segment to really give us a lot of Segment.io to tell us a lot more about our customer than we would know, I guess, without those tools, and then we're able to kind of, bucket them into different, tranches, say, based on characteristics. So I think armed with that knowledge, eventually we'll be able to serve up very customized content. And then another trend that's happening in marketing is this idea of pixelation, where people come to a page and they get cookied, and that then we can kind of almost follow them around a little bit and send them kind of customized messages. So for instance, they came to a certain landing page, and then like I mean, some of it in a way is a little bit creepy, but I think when you do it kind of the right way, it's and maybe in the somewhat subtle and amusing way, people enjoy it, and it makes the marketing memorable. But I would say being able to deliver really customized messaging to the right people at the right time is the future of marketing.
Gotcha. Awesome. And as we wrap up, I know that, of course, this community is made up of a number of leaders in marketing, whether they're the CMO, the marketing director. As we go and close in, like, what advice would you have, or, maybe from experience, that you've had that you would want to share with, other peers that are listening?
So is that kind of advice on how to climb the ranks of marketing, or what makes a really good, campaign, or where their focus should be, whatever really comes to mind? Sure. I think, well, number one, I think marketing, to me, good marketing is about systems. And I think, doing a one-off campaign that worked out like awesome is great, but if you can't do it again, who cares, right? So I think, a good marketer has the ability, not only you come up with interesting ideas, but it's being able to kind of design a test, have a hypothesis, design a test, and being able to carry out that experiment and kind of interpret the results, and then being able to, decide what to do. So I mean, like after running many experiments, right, being able to kind of like realize which ones to sweep under the rug. Okay, this didn't work out, and like where am I going to back up the truck and put more time and resources into? So I think that's an important trait for a marketer to learn earlier in their career. And I think in terms of career growth as a marketer, more often than not, you start somewhere in marketing, and I think that's having that ability to systematize experiments and kind of document those is really crucial to analyzing any marketing experiment. So, for instance, I started as a SEO content guy, but I think that ability to systematize and kind of determine what activities you should be doing. And the content marketing is a broad spectrum of stuff as well. There's kind of SEO, there's content, there's email marketing, there's social as well. And then deciding what activities work, what's working, what you should be doing, and what's not. And like if you're good at that, you can eventually go from whatever it is your specialty is to running a whole team and kind of deciding where resources should go across a variety of marketing activities.
Awesome. That's really, really good advice. I love that. So, Brad, if there's a way that people want to reach out to you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Sure. So people can reach out to me on Twitter. I'm Brad _Z. This is spelled Z-E-E. I'm also on LinkedIn, and my email is pretty simple, Brad@PipeDrive. Also, I could send this to you kind of after the show.
Sure.
But I'll set up a coupon code for anybody who's interested in trying PipeDrive out. We can use the code BOSS for Marketing Boss Podcast.
Awesome. I love that. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
No problem.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for being on the show. This has been an awesome conversation. Thank you.
Yeah, it's been great to be here. Have a good one.
All right, you too, man. Thanks. Whew, what a great interview. You guys definitely be sure to connect with Brad online. And don't forget to also try out PipeDrive using the coupon code that Brad gave us called BOSS. And if you enjoy this podcast, be sure to subscribe on iTunes or Stitcher, leave a review, and share it with a friend. So that does it for this episode. You guys, thanks for tuning in. Until next time, my friends, remember, a good boss is a good leader. Go out there, serve your gift to the world, because you're the boss.
Thanks so much for listening to the Marketing Boss Podcast with your host, video marketing expert, Herschel Houghton. We'll catch you next time.